Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It's Matt, the Lumberjack Landlord, here with his very special guest, live and in person, making the rounds, Millennial Mike. How's it going, buddy?
Dude, I'm excited to be here. I am officially the first person ever to meet all three of the amigos, and I saved the best for last, the Lumberjack, of course. And you know what? He's also the only regularly sized amigo. Unfortunately, Dion and Mike, they're just not quite built the same way we are.
I'm big. I'm big boned. So super excited to be here with you guys today. I apologize for not getting anything out there like I usually do, saying that we're going to have the live stream this morning, but it was a crazy kind of 24 hours, which was we had literally had a heating system go for one of our buildings. And so we had to jump into action, get plumbers there, even get a new heating system, which we actually jumped in the minivan, drove 3 hours to get the system to then bring it back so we could install it and have it done, because it actually impacted 6 people, 6 different units. So yesterday was spent culling the chaos. And then finally late last night was like, oh, hey, Mike's going to be here tomorrow. So yeah. Mike was on a reverse red eye, or actually just a red eye. He was on a red eye coming out here. So I picked him up this morning. We were able to get some breakfast, and now we're going to be sitting here hanging out. There's Phil Nealon. Thanks, my man. I appreciate that. I know, dual show, right? 2 for the price of none. So we're super excited to kind of go through things with you guys today. Just kind of talk about rents, what we're seeing. Also get your feedback. Mike and I, kind of what we're going to spend kind of today, tomorrow, and Tuesday basically doing is kind of what you guys tell us to. We're going to kind of jump out in the field, and we thought it would be kind of a cool idea to just basically jump out there and walk through some properties, show people kind of some projects in various statuses. I know today we're going to hit one of them because there's no workers there. And tomorrow it will be filled with them. So just kind of walking, jumping out in the field. So it's going to be a lot of live streams. But I think the one difference between this and a lot of live streams that you see from a lot of folks that are out there in the field is they're not taking the time to answer questions while they're in the field. So that's one of the kind of cool things that we'll have with Mike being there and being able to essentially record it and watch it is we'll be able to look and see some of the questions coming up as we roll through, so we can answer those questions for you. So yeah, so it's really, that's what we kind of wanted to talk to you guys about today is, you know, being out in the field and jumping out in the field, actually going through some of these projects. I will caution you, it is cold. So if you see my nose getting red, that's why. It is with wind chill, it's below freezing. It's a little bit chilly here in the Northeast. But yeah, we're just going to kind of jump out there and hang out. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, Lori. Welcome to both you guys. Good morning, Alyssa from Utah. Hey, Alyssa, super excited to check out the videos this week. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And
Alyssa, congrats on joining the One Rental at a Time course. Yep, she just bought the course and joined the group. So I messaged she and I were messaging about that. So
Alyssa's secret weapon. She has 4 properties already, Utah and Montana, and crushing it. So it's kind of like she's one of my favorite types of investors because she already has been being successful. She's already doing the work. She's already got a portfolio, and she's like, I want to get better. Yeah. And those are the people, quite frankly, I'll be just brutally honest. Those are the people that end up getting rich. It's because they really get this. They work the program. They do the work. They see it coming. They continue to ask questions, hone skills, get better. That's one of the main reasons why, you know, in the time that Mike is going to be here, that we're going to spend time in the field. I want to show you guys exposure, give you guys exposure to construction, give you guys exposure to landlording and doing a gut rehab or doing what we call a lipstick rehab. It's not rude to say, I checked with my wife. You can call it a lipstick rehab. It just means that it's just prettying things up a little bit. And so there's that. But Anna K, good morning. Johnny Cashflow, good morning. Mandy W, good morning. T, good morning. Thanks for coming, T. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. So Mike was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, kind of whatever people want us to do. Yeah. But while he's out here, just want to kind of teach him our business, show him our business and how it works. And then, hopefully from that, he picks up a couple things that make him doing real estate easier and better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of the plan that we had. I kind of, what was interesting to me is, and this was really kind of a side note, is I was surprised at how many people attack somebody in my position. And when I say my position, I just mean a real estate owner. Like the way that I view that is they're literally sitting on the sidelines, and because their life is what it is, the only thing that they have enough energy or focus to do is root for my failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really? That's the best you got? Like, because I got to be honest, I don't think about you after I read the comment. I read the comment, I'm just like, man, I feel kind of bad for you. I feel kind of sad for you, because at the end of the day, you rooting for my failure doesn't make it any more realistic that it's going to happen.
Mm.
And you can have your beliefs. And I think one of the things that we always talk a lot about landlords and you need to have thick skin. You do have to have thick skin. What bothers it for me, it doesn't bother me. It bothers me for them. Because I know that they're not doing anything. They're not doing any work. They're not putting any effort in. They're watching videos that further support their negative bias. And it's not like they did work and they know what they're talking about. It's not like anybody on YouTube. My favorite is when they're like, you're going to go bankrupt based on your review of my financials. You don't know my cash position. You don't know my cash flow. You don't know my assets. You don't know how levered the assets are. You don't know my payment structure. You don't know anything about me. And because I'm in real estate, I'm going to go bankrupt. And because I've got really cool shirts in my closet, I'm going to, somehow go to this untimely demise. I want to encourage you guys. Only you know what's right for you. And so when you're looking to invest, when you're looking at properties, there's some general rules that you want to follow, but be encouraged. This is a lonely business. We only have each other from a landlord perspective because no one ever feels bad for landlords. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you've got support system. Make sure that you have people that you can talk to about this that are like-minded, because that's where a lot of the disconnect comes is they can root for my failure all they want. It literally hastens it, not one day. And if I fail, it will be 100% based on something I did and will have nothing to do with anything they did or said. So I want to encourage you guys. It's going to be a tough thing. But I would definitely look at, you'll know your data. You likely know your market better than anybody else does, or at least you should. And it's not to say you'll never make mistakes, but you can drastically minimize the type of mistakes that can take you out. So that being said, anything else to add to that?
Not to what you're saying right now, but yeah, I mean, essentially you do kind of have to realize it can be a tough road to get to the top. There's a lot of people who love to see you fail. And you know what's funny? It's not always just completely anonymous anti-commenters on the internet. Sometimes it could be your own inner circle. For some people, it could be your own family or maybe even your own friends. One thing that I'm constantly amazed at, when I just recently started sharing more posts on Instagram because I was like, you know what, I should maybe actually try a little bit instead of just have a picture from a while ago. I think actually Alyssa made fun of me for having like 5 posts on my Instagram.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is complete strangers I've never met who support me on my YouTube channel, support me on Instagram, will comment on everything I do, like everything I do, and send out positive messages my way, and I thank you for it. But you know who doesn't? All of the people I've known for 20 years. Yeah. All the people I'm friends with, all the people I grew up with. I didn't even get an attaboy, congrats, nothing. Like, you guys knew how poor I was back in the day. I was so stinking poor. It was embarrassing. And it's funny to laugh about it, but nobody that I know says positive things. I get a lot of negative things. I mean, my best friends, like truly best friends, are positive about it. But there's that whole group of people. So anyways, the point I was making is it's a lonely road to the top. There's going to be a lot of anonymous haters, but also, curate your network, your immediate network, sometimes even your family. Sometimes you can't talk about this stuff with them because if they're not doing it, they might feel some type of way about it.
Yeah, it's true. I think that's good advice. Anna Kay, OMG, both of you are here. We are both here. We are both here. It was really funny picking them up in the airport because they were having major traffic issues. So I literally rolled down my window. I'm looking for Mike. And like I see him and I start screaming at him. Hey, over here. Hey. The guy goes, no, it is Bert. And I go, not you, him.
Yeah. There I was, just standing out there dealing with actual cold weather instead of Seattle, which I'm used to,
Yeah, a little chilly,
50 degrees with some rain. I was like, it's actually cold here.
Yeah, it is a little bit cold here. And he ain't seen nothing yet. Tonight's going to be in the teens. So that's not even cold yet here. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, so yeah, he's here. I'm excited to have him here. Daniel Radonovic. I'm going to do that again. Radovanovic. That's closer. Nice. Lions don't care about the opinions of sheep. Do the work. True story. Yes. True story. Just know that I'm going to eat you. So yeah, true story. That's true. Laura Tinney, I bought 2 tax deed properties so far. That's awesome, Laura. Or Lori, excuse me. That's awesome, Lori. That's really, really cool. That's something that I'm definitely hoping to do more here in New Hampshire. I've heard, I don't have experience. I've only bought one, so I won't act like I've done it 100 times. I've only done one of those. And it was an awesome deal for me. I bought it for 40. I put 60 into it. So I owned it for 100 and I sold it for 180. So big fan, hopefully to find more of those. RE3, even over God and Children. It's close. Marisha Ninehauser, hello everyone, good morning. Honestly, like for the channel and listening here, thank you for the like, we appreciate it. Kenor, yeah, 2 machines, right? Mike, 2 days at Matt's and the beard is growing. I know, right? It's something in the water. True. Something in the water. I think he's only been here for like 2 hours, so it's quick, it's fast. RE3, I have 3 condos in Hawaii. That's right, I remember that. Yep, going to visit there next week. Happy to report no vacancy and rents keep going up. RE3, what do you mean rents are going up? I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube that said the rents are going down. How is that even possible? Here's how it's possible. They're still going up. I rented out 3 units in November. All of the rents were higher than they've ever been, period. While I will agree that rents might be slowing in some areas, or they might be down from what they were listed for, they're still more expensive than they were last year. Well, you can't compare this year to last year. Why? Because they're not going up as fast anymore? Like, what a dumb concept. Like, of course you compare this year to last year, because as a landlord, what did I rent it for last year? And what did I rent it for this year? And is it more than what I rented it for last year? It's cash flow. And we all know what cash flow is.
Over everything.
Exactly. So Phil Nealon, thoughts on putting down 25% versus 3.5 or 5 in this environment? Or does it depend on the deal? My owner-occ loan anniversary is coming up in February. Phil, I love that you're planning for that. I think for me, my preference would be keeping the cash, doing a lower down payment. And I think in doing that lower down payment, I think that you give yourself flexibility on the cash side. If it is in fact a rental, what you have to make sure is that you're not putting yourself in a bad position for cash flow. But again, if you're keeping that cash from not putting it down, you should have lots there, lots difference. So my preference always is lower down payment, so long as it's still profitable and still hits my other metrics. And then I have that much more excess cash to work with. Hey, Sachs Realty. Hey, Todd, thank you so much. Guys, if you haven't checked out Todd Sachs, we did a video on my channel. He is honestly probably one of my favorite brokers I know. Started out in construction, spent years doing construction, then became a broker, then started investing in real estate, or maybe investing in real estate and became a broker. Then he helps others invest in real estate. So if you're in the Maryland area, you got to check him out. He's the man. I like guys like this. He, quite frankly, is that 5% of elite agent that I talk about, whereas so many of these other ones just completely suck. 80% of those brokers that you meet are going to be garbage. They don't have a managing broker like a Todd Sachs, where he is sharing with you a lot of the data that's going on in his environment. I think a lot of things are tough from a realtor perspective. I think the biggest challenge is that there's a lot of moving parts, and everybody's is different. Everybody's position where they are is different. Their market's different. There's a lot of differences. I just bought a deal we closed 2 days ago, actually it's a great deal. It still gives me, I think, 17% return on my capital. Still a great deal, but check Todd out. He's definitely worth a subscription, a subscribe, and check him out. Let's see. RE3. It's a lonely road to the top. A lot of anonymous dudes hating you and a lot of jealous ex-girlfriends.
I declined comments.
Kenor. Good morning, Pallavi. Good morning. Kenor, I would like so much to buy, but can't understand that lenders are so hard with foreigner investors. Yeah, what I would tell you is it's a little bit more expensive, but if the deal works, you could look at like a DSCR lender. I think that they're a little bit easier, but I don't know that for a fact because I only have my experience. But I would try Steve Dow from Velocity. I would give him a call. It might be worth it. James Gleason, only the dumbest of the dumb would buy real estate right now. Well, I guess I'm the dumbest of the dumb because I just bought a deal, 17%. Treasury, James. James is big on treasury.
That's this guy?
That's this guy.
James, I really appreciate you spending so much of your mental energy to spend this morning with us this morning. Happy Sabbath. The Lord approves.
It's good. Laura Samadiego, thanks guys for the RE therapy. I do appreciate the encouragement, especially when surrounded by friends, waiting for me to fail. I'm in North Carolina right now. It's too cold for my comfort zone. Laura, I'm glad it's only North Carolina. We'd love to have you here with us, but dang, is it cold here. It is cold. And it's not even really cold. I say that for Mike's benefit. I don't want to feel like a wimp. But it is cold. It is chilly here.
I grew up in North Dakota. All right.
Yeah,
-40 is real cold. I just have lived in the Pacific Northwest.
It's been too long. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a wimp now.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is the North Dakota thing, like that's the most legit winter you can have in America. That's terrible. The worst. Yeah. I know because I've actually traveled to Bismarck.
I'm sorry.
In January. I was unbelievably underwhelmed with the city.
Yeah, there's nothing to look at.
There really wasn't. I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is that's your big one, isn't it?
The state capital. Fargo is
Fargo's
the biggest city,
one.
but that's Texas state capital is Bismarck.
Crazy. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Kenor, James, what is dumb having 10+% cash retain? Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has an idea. He has a belief that, and I think James used to own real estate, if I'm not mistaken, he decided to sell out. That's fine. I think that people can sell out if they want to. I've sold out of some assets. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think that to have the belief that generally speaking, everything that any purchase of real estate right now is dumb just shows that you don't really understand anybody but your own perspective and that you don't walk in anybody else's shoes. If you have, let's just color an example, because I think this is helpful for the group. I have 7 figures in cash. I have massive cash flow. I have 50% of my tenants could stop paying rent and I make money. I could have to do 20 evictions. So 20 or 26 evictions, we'll call it 20% of my portfolio, and I still make cash. So is it really the dumbest thing to buy real estate? I'm not going to stick it in T-bills for 4% or 4.5%. I want my money making money. And I want to know that I can do a deal whenever I want to do a deal. Because there's going to be guys like you that are piking out and trying to sell their deals. And now with 7 or 8% money, I can get a really good deal. At the end of the day, I could buy it for cash. I could buy it so long as the numbers work at 7 or 8%. I could wait for it to refi, but that might not be in a year or 2 years or even 5 years. It could be 7 years. So if it makes money now and the numbers are good and healthy, I would still do the deal, because at the end of the day, no one can tell the future. As much as James would like to think he knows exactly what's going to happen in the next year, there's no clue.
Even if he does, his logic doesn't make sense. What does Warren Buffett say? Be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. The last several years, the market's been just tearing up, going up as fast as it could be. Right now, it's going down. 84% of buyers say it's a bad time to buy. That means 84% of your competition is disheartened about what's going on.
That's right.
This is your opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
If he just made a comment about real estate prices being 20% lower a year from now. Hey, man, when you buy and invest in stocks, you buy on the way down, right?
That's
buy
right.
low, sell high. Are you encouraging people to buy at the high point? This is the time to buy. On the way down, on its way back up. First of all, it's always a good day to buy a great deal. I'll let you take back over.
So he's exactly right. But I think at the end of the day, he might be the same poser that was talking about July of 2020 being a bad time to buy at 1433. Guys, this is the number. These are the payments. So 720, $337,000, the median price of a house, but the rate was 307. You can't take anything that anyone says without doing the math. How many people were considering buying? I've talked to them and they're sad. They're dejected. They could have bought the median house in their market with 3.07 at 1433 for a payment. They could have bought that. And they said, everyone's telling us there's going to be adjustment in the market, that it's going to crash. We don't want to do it. There's a pandemic going on. No, this isn't for us. So they waited and they waited and they waited. And here's the only thing that they saw happen. $1,400 payment, $1,500 payment, $1,600 payment, $1,800 payment, $2,400 payment. Guys, these people don't understand the tax ramifications and what you're losing out. There's so many other elements to it than price. It's payment, it's tax implications, it's cost segregation implications. It's a million different things. Don't let some poser that doesn't know what they're talking about your situation ever impact your decision. Listen to people that are doing what you're doing, because they might have done more research than you. They might have done better research than you. That's why I like working with Mike. I've never managed a project from afar. I like working with Zub. Zub manages afar, but he also uses a property manager, but he also knows the economic side of things. Love working with Dion. Dion does the house hack just like I do. He looks for ways to get more lazy. I'm worried that he's going to lazy himself into on a coma.
I'm concerned. Hey, we hung out a whole bunch. He is lazy about some things and other things. He's a hard worker, but yeah, you guys need to encourage him to make more YouTube videos because he'll blow up. So tell him stop being lazy with that.
I agree. Completely agree. So RE3, even if you sold at the top of the real estate market in 06, 09, I'd argue those people are kicking themselves for not holding the real estate until now, especially if it was income producing, right? RE3, that's exactly the point. Think about all the appreciation, principal pay down, and tax benefits missed out on. RE3 that gets it. Yeah, totally agree with you, RE3. Phil Nealon, it would be a multifamily or a multi-room house hack for sure. I'm so grateful to be able to get the experience perspective. Thanks. Phil, you're very welcome. Like I said, keep on running the numbers. Make sure that, if it's I think I'm going to term the phrase super hack.
Super hack? Okay.
So a super hack is when you have a multifamily, let's say it's a 4-unit, and you're renting out 3 units, but a super hack, that's house hacking. But when you're super hacking a multi, you're actually renting out rooms too.
Okay. In the unit you own?
In the unit you own.
So that's the final evolution.
That's a super hack. I can't do that anymore because Ashley told me I couldn't, and she was like, I don't love that idea. And I was like, that's my wife saying she doesn't want to do it. So we'll not do it. Let's see. Todd Sachs, you are too kind. Appreciate it. Todd. I'm legit, man. You share the data. And I think the data is important. I also think that people then need to look at the data, the raw data. They need to look at that and then they need to put it through their own filter. I think statistics don't change, but I think what I mean by the statistics don't change on the chart, when you look at it, the stat is the stat. You can't make the spreadsheet bleed. You can't make the graph bleed, but you can filter it. And that's one of the big ways that I got very wealthy. Everybody instantly thinks, don't ever, ever, ever rent to students. It's stupid. They'll destroy your house. They're going to blow it up. I have fewer evictions than any other landlord of my size by about a factor of 6. And you know what? A large part of that was because I did student housing. And so that's actually part of my course is I actually go into my exact model. I actually previewed that model with Mike. I think he approves.
Yeah.
But it is the exact blueprint for how I literally got rich doing student housing. And then I expanded my business to create new revenue streams. But student housing is where I cut my teeth. It's where I made a ton of my money. And I'm telling you, there is a way to do student housing that is extremely lucrative. It drastically reduces the number of evictions that you have to do. And it really does put you in a really powerful position to really create wealth. The reason I say all that is, aside from that being in the course, I think what Todd at Sachs Realty talks about in taking people through charts, I think it's important. He sold out of, I know that he sold, I believe, a number of his real estate holdings, and you can sell it at the top, because what Todd understands is, what's that cycle going to be? It could be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. If you don't want to be doing that and your next opportunity be in 5 or 7 years, it might make sense to sell and to get out of that. However, if you have a longer time horizon than that, every deal that we look at, because I'm 45 years old, every deal that I look at now, I say, am I gonna want this asset in 20 to 25 years? And if the answer is yes, then the rest of it is just the math. It's making sure that it performs now as an asset. James, the chat just moved. Let's see. Anna K, thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate that. Let me look and see if you asked a question so I can make. Anna K, trying to figure out a super chat. I think it went without a message. It did. But what's your question? So the question: the grass is a lot greener around septic tank and drain field, which is understood. But the septic tank of 1979. Okay. So I'm a little worried of the septic tank health. How do I know when it's bad? Who do I turn to get it checked out? That is an awesome lumberjack landlord question, Anna Kay. What I would tell you is this: what you need to do is you need to reach out to a septic inspection company or a septic company. And here's where you price shop. What you're really looking for is for them to come out and do a septic test. What they're going to do is you want to try and find somebody that will camera the septic. And that might be a few $100s extra, but they will come out and they will largely use rods in your septic tank to make sure, see if it's failing, see if stuff is coming in. So I have some septic systems that are that old that are completely fine. I have a couple of septic systems that failed after, one failed after about 30 years. The other one failed after about 40 years. So I would tell you that that's the best thing to do. Look for a septic company that does septic inspections, or you can also just look up a regular inspection company and see if they only do that. Hold on one second.
So Anna, you're in my neck of the woods, and I've even attended the local meetup with you and Dion. So first thing I would probably do is just ask Dion if he has a preferred person, because he's in our area. Next thing I would do is use the Thumbtack app that he talks about all the time. And that's where I'd get my referrals from that. I always like to go to other people who are already doing it. And Dion's the man. So I would just ping him in the Facebook group and see what he has to say.
Yep. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Terry Flood, looking forward to having a cocktail with the 4 of you at the Vegas party. You and me both. You and me both.
I'm gonna have my water, but I'll make sure you get back to your.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking boring too much water too. That's my cocktail of life, is my water elixir. Did Millennial Mike bring a jacket?
Yeah. Well, I don't own one because in Washington you don't need.
I was gonna say, to his defense, he did bring a Washington jacket.
It's like a little windbreak. It was in case it rained. It's not gonna rain while I'm here.
It's not gonna rain.
I have some sweatshirts, all right, some nice ones.
The good news is, I know after having met him, anything that fits me will fit him. So yeah. he should be good. And Anna K, you're very welcome. Happy to answer your question. Let's see. Phil Nealand. I hope to outdumb many. See, Phil, thank you for that. He made a comment on one of my other videos. He's like, you can, when I said something to the effect of, I'm not worried I can outdumb anybody. I mean, I can. Like, if you want to just sit there and be a moron about a situation, I will out moron you. And in fact, I literally just did it with a tenant, and then they paid me the $600 that they owed me. I kind of laughed. It was really, really funny, actually. I said to Ashley, I go, babe, you're never going to guess this. She's like, what? I said, that pinhead just paid us $600 he owed us. She goes, what'd you say? I go, I made fun of him.
And it worked.
I mean, now that's bad. That's positive reinforcement on my side. So that's what's going to happen there. Aloha from Financial Firefighter.
My man.
Hello. Yeah, he is everywhere.
He's a good dude.
Hello. Whoa, who's visiting you? Yeah, I know. Millennial Mike, right?
Dividend Dave. What's up, man?
What's up, Dividend Dave? Lori, I bought a lot for $700 in the process of selling it for $4,000. Wait a second. Is that better than a 4.5% return on my treasuries? That's pretty good return right there. It's pretty good return. REI Stoners, morning guys. Can you both talk about life creep when you started out? The holidays, our anniversary, birthdays, vet needing warmer clothes in Washington. The creep is real. You want to talk about it first? Go for it.
Life creep. So I mean, for me personally, I grew up so unbelievably poor. I mean, I lived on government assisted housing, 6 kids from 3 different fathers. None of them were ever around. I mean, we were like food stamps kids. We were the kids you didn't want in your rental. So I grew up with a superpower, and that's that I am extremely comfortable living an impoverished lifestyle. I mean, I lived on multiple meal cereal, and somehow it got me to 6'4". That's literally crazy. Just bags of cereal and like microwavable hot dogs. So, you know, I mean, for me personally, life creep, it wasn't that hard to avoid. I still, the way we became friends was we started messaging each other on Instagram over who had the more busted piece of crap car in their driveway. So I thought I was going to flex on him with my busted Geo Metro with paint stains. And he was like, oh, hold the phone. So yeah, do I want a nice new car? Yes, I do. And I will get one. We were talking about the Lambo he might shop for soon. Absolutely. I want a nice car. I want to take vacations. I want to go live down in Florida. But I understand that if I just wait, if I keep funneling money back into real estate, and I'm up to 8 properties, 10 units, I'm getting ready to buy a bunch more in 2023. If I just hold on a little bit longer, you know, I'll be able to have all of those things. Now, here's where I think it gets really tough. If you're married, it can be difficult to convince your partner. Also, even if you have kids, it can be hard not to want to spend money on them. I did take a vacation, took my son because I want him to have memories in case I get zipped up at work and don't come home one day. But you could still do all that within reason. You do not have to have all of the streaming services. You can shop at Walmart, not Target. You don't have to have a new car. You shouldn't buy a new car. There's nothing wrong with a 95 Honda Civic. Yeah, it sounds terrible driving through the neighborhood, but it'll get you from A to B. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. So when we were, so literally, I didn't want to misset his expectations so he could find my car at the airport. I was like, hey, it's a POS 04 Yukon Denali.
Yeah.
That I paid $1,000 for. That's the car that I drive. I paid $1,000 for it. I put about $1,000, a little bit more than that into it to fix it up, just so it was drivable. But that's the car that I drive. That's my everyday beater. And I think you definitely have to really focus. One of the things that was really tough for us is that we had no money, Ashley and I, when we first got married. In fact, we were literally almost bankrupt like 3 times just with silly, crazy stuff. And so for us, it was like our treat was eating the McDonald's menu, the $1 menu. And now that's even more expensive. But, you know, thankfully we've gone to value meals and haven't looked back. But I don't know that there's any way to do it other than constant conversation. When it was something we were going through, we would talk about money, probably a half an hour a day. Jeez. We would talk about it just with each other and like, okay, well, this is what and we really were game planning, right? It wasn't if you, I'm married to one of these, so this is no offense if you're one of those people, because I love her immensely. She would take the bills and she wouldn't open them. I'm like, I like the idea, but that because it doesn't make it go away, that's a problem. And so we ended up in one of those problems where I didn't know, but we had $7,000 in bills that I wasn't acutely aware of. And I'm sitting there breaking my arm, patting myself on the back going, man, I got $5,000 in this account. Woo, woo, $5,000. And then we had the conversation. She didn't tell me how much. She wrote all the checks, and then they started bouncing like Super Balls. That was the last time I bounced a check, was back 2007. And that was really tough to take. But now it's working together, being on the same page, recognize that nobody wants to be poor. Nobody wants to choose to not have money. You choose to not have money because you can affect that change. You can affect that change better now than you ever have been able to in your entire life. So I would make sure that even if it's not a big lavish thing, still do an anniversary dinner. On birthdays, my kids, believe it or not, and you guys are probably going to hate this, but my kids get $50 that we spend on their entire birthday.
I like it.
That's it. That's it. I'm not interested in keeping up with anybody else. My kids will appreciate the dollar. They will appreciate it. So hopefully that helps you. Matt Bittner, good morning. Sierra Smith, if only I had known to buy and hold and not sold our first owner occupied houses, I'd have 50% yielding deals in my portfolio instead of hunting for my first rental now.
Yeah.
Sierra, I appreciate the transparency because you know what? I sold a couple properties. I sold, in fact, even worse, I sold one in 2019.
Right before everything took off.
Yeah. And it was because I wanted to get out of that market. For me, I was like, I can take that money, I can use it somewhere else. Now, the good news is that I took that money and I bought another asset that was closer by to me. I actually bought two, and those now far out earn the other one. But still, I probably maybe could have done that without selling that one. And that one, I think I sold for about 300,000. It's worth probably 450 now. But I would have just taken that money and reinvested it. But yeah, I completely understand, Sierra. And that's the thing is the ones largely, there's no property that I have that I regret buying. There's properties that I missed out on or ones that I sold that I regret selling. Theta Hedge, hey everyone. Good morning. Am I in Washington? Nope. Mike is more portable. I've got a wife and 3 kids. He's got 1, so he's more portable, and I appreciate that about him and willing to sacrifice that time with his son. Kenora, can you give me a link in the description to the foreigner-friendly lender?
Oh, Stephen Dow. I'll post Steve's email in the
Steve Dow's email in there. So it's Steve Dow at Velocity Mortgage. I think he'll probably help you out.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'm a little worried about the septic tank health. Yep. Okay, we covered that. Matt Bittner, if I manage to convince a homeowner to sell their house to me on owner financing, what's the next step? I have never done creative financing. Matt, what I would tell you is I would look at, if you're not in Mike Zuber's course, I would look at Pace Morby. The only reason that I won't cover it here is because he covers it perfectly. And he covers it. He's probably got 4 to 6 hours of videos on it that are free. They're available to you. So I would look at Pace first. And then if you come back and ask questions of him, he might not answer. I can answer questions on that stuff. It would take a ton of time to kind of get through it. Sierra Smith, Anna K. You can get a septic inspection. Yep. Around here, it's $400 and have it inspected and pumped. Exactly. Great idea. Laura Samaniego, no thanks, I pass. Anything below 78 degrees is too cold for me. Yeah, it's not anywhere near that today. Last weekend, cleaned my yard from Nicole and got a unit ready for new tenant to move in on December 1. Congratulations, awesome. That's awesome. Kenor, James, in Germany, people buy with negative cash flow. The US is a paradise for investors. The price is not important, just the cash flow. Kenor, I don't disagree. Let's see. Theta Hedge Capital, looking to sell off a few of my rental properties. Any tips on how to structure a seller financing deal? Interesting. I've done
2.
Sold them that way?
Purchased them.
Purchased them that way. Yeah. So he wants to sell some of his portfolio. I would honestly, I would go to a meetup. And just say, yeah, I've got this portfolio of this many properties but don't be a goofball. Have a price. You have to have a price. That's got to have a starting point. And then I think the rest of it's really negotiable. How much do you owe on it? How do you feel about the person buying them? If you're seller financing, the whole deal is probably cleaner than being the second position, because that's how you could get stuck, as being the second position. So there's no right way there's no right way to start out with seller finance deal. It's come up with the units, know the cash flow, come up with the price, see that it's in range there, with what their return on that capital is going to be. And then it's a matter of what you think fits you best, which is when you talk to a bunch of other investors about it, then I would, to create fear or to create the fear of missing out, I would then actually schedule an investor day and do it X amount of time in the future. And then anybody that's interested, I want you all to walk it that day. That way everybody sees it. That way you're going to get multiple proposals, and then you see what you like out of them. And then what I do is I typically look at what the best offers are in the offers, like the sub parts of the deal. And then I start to conglomerate and put together one deal with all of these really cool aspects. And then I go to the person that I like the most, that I think is the strongest buyer, and I bring that deal to those people. Tell me what you think of. Well, tell me what you think on that, Theta Hedge. Laura Samanigo, my PM advised me not to increase the rent because it was going to take too long to rent. I increased it to $150 in the market, and in the market for 2 days. Yes, this is why I hate many PMs. 80% of PMs out there suck as much as 80% of the agents. They don't know what they're doing. And what does it do it for them? They have a cost fixed that they're going to get from you to rent out that unit. So they just want it to rent out fast. Baloney.
How many times have you talked to somebody who is looking to sell their property? You know, they bought it a few years ago for 400,000 and now it's going to sell for 800,000. And they'll say something to the effect of, it's not worth that much. I can't believe it's selling for It's not worth that much. In their head, they cannot change and shift around the fact that the market has changed, inflation has happened, things have taken off. The same thing happens with real estate agents. The same thing happens with property managers. Oh, it won't rent for that much because it's just not worth that much. Because for all this time they've been doing it like that. That's why it's your job to be the expert in your market. You have to be constantly keeping your finger on the pulse for what rents are doing and what prices are doing and how things are adjusting, because your property manager might just be doing the same old stuff they've always done, and you'll miss a chance to bump rents $200 with a new tenant or an increase with a binder strategy or something like that. So don't necessarily, I mean, it's good to consult with them, but their word is not gospel. Do your own research, be your own expert.
Yep, absolutely. One of the things that we'll actually cover in the course is how to become a remote property manager without having a property manager. I'm going to teach you how I built what I built. So that way for me, I don't pay a property manager, but I have all of the different safeguards that a property manager does. And my cost basis is far lower. So I'm going to teach people how to do that. Neil, Lumberjack and Millennial Mike together. Has Christmas come early? It feels like that. I'm excited to have Mike here.
Thanks.
Ashley literally said, she goes, be around her as much as you want. I was like, I'm not trying to take that. She's like, I know that when Mike's here, you're going to want to do a bunch of stuff with him. So she's like, don't worry about it. And I was like, this is why I married her. Nice. Amazing. So yeah, I heard it here first, Mike. And then Dion, yes, he brought a jacket. Anna K, you're welcome. To gentlemen, new to your channel, looking to buy my first investment property. I work in the mortgage industry and curious to see how multifamily zoning permits in the Southeast expand in the future. So zoning, what I will tell you, is very, very, very localized, very localized. So you'll need to pick an area, do the research on the zoning depending on what your goal is. But zoning is very specific to municipality, typically even on a town basis. It's really broken down about that much. And then the zones within the town. So depending on what kind of projects you're looking for, that's where I would start. Is if you had an idea of the towns that you want to be in, almost every single city or town or municipality creates an annual report. In that annual report is all of the zoning and then the different areas for that zoning. So if you're looking to do a specific type of project, you can look at that. The other thing you can also do if you're local is you can go right into the town hall. You can ask to speak to the planning department and zoning. And you can ask to speak with them. It might be two different departments. It might be one. You can walk in, you can ask me, you say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do from a property. Where would you guys allow that in the city? And they might say, yeah, right, never. They might also say, yeah, we would, but it would be in this corridor right here. And then now you have your job started, which is that's the corridor that you need to be shopping in and kind of watching. Anna K, I invest in both around my house and in Washington and in Alabama. So yeah, I am running around. Yeah, sounds right. Millennial Mike is starting to look like Lumberjack. I know, if he put on like 75 pounds and 9 inches of hair on his face, it'd be me. Sierra Smith. Malto meal. Yep.
Marshmallow mateys, right?
Yeah.
Come on, tell me I'm wrong.
No, yeah. Ryan out. I drive my 1988 GMC pickup to work every day. I love it, Ryan. I knew we were kindred spirits. Ryan's actually not too far from here. He's like 45 minutes away in Maine.
Nice.
Yep. Another New Englander. Bitcoin man, I thought you quit your job as a cop.
No, I am on vacation. So if you don't use your vacation, you lose it. And I had to use like about 100 hours. So I have taken most of the last 3 weeks off and got propositioned with this trip to come out here and get educated. And so that's what I'm doing. But I am still an officer. Just, yeah, I haven't shaved in a while.
Yeah, I said to Mike, I was like, he's like, yeah, I'm on vacation for 3 weeks. So if you want to do anything, I go, do you want to come out here? He goes, yeah. I was like, all right, let's pick dates. And so we picked dates. And I told Ash, I go, yeah, I think Mike's going to come out and visit. She goes, that's really cool. And I go, it's really cool. It's the best.
I said, did you ask your wife if we could have our sleepover yet?
And I was
She
like,
said yes.
yeah, I was like, she said yes. So yeah, so it's good. Let's see. Janelle, I personally enjoy driving my my 09 salvage title Corolla. Yeah, nice. Keeps me humble, which I believe is a key trait to being successful. I agree. That's awesome. I love it. An 09 salvage title Corolla. I was a little bit bougier. I had an 09 salvage title Escalade for a while. And now I drive a clean title piece of POS. Phil Nealon, $500, 2001 Honda Civic manual 2-wheel drive in Alaska. Phil, you won, man. You win. 2-wheel drive in Alaska? Dude, you're the man. That's awesome.
I did try to post Stephen Dow's email, but I think YouTube has a filter where it won't let me. If you want to do it, it's not Stephen Dow, it's S Dow.
Yeah.
So if you got it, it's SDAO at velocitymortgage.com. So if you want to email Stephen Dow about out of the country investing, trying to get financing for that, he might be able to help you.
Velocity Mortgage, easy for me to say.
Let's see if the streamer can actually get it to go through.
This should let me.
Because I seen Dion post the stuff. There we go.
Yeah,
cool.
Cool. Awesome. Let's see. Alyssa McEwen. I would love a video of things how to help teach your children how to appreciate the dollar and entrepreneurship. Believe it or not, my favorite thing to teach my kids the value of a dollar and entrepreneurship is yard sailing. We yard sailed every single Saturday the entire summer. It was really to teach 3 principles. 1, you don't get something everywhere we go. 2, we spend time together as a family, and no matter what we're doing together as a family, it's fun. And if you don't think it's fun, you can go sit in timeout. And and the third thing was, yes, the value of a dollar, which is, I teach them all the time. We could walk into a store and we can buy that. And that is $20. And that's a lot of money. Daddy has to work hard for that $20. I had to spend time away from you to earn that $20. Or we can be patient, not have to get it right when we want it, but realize that we're working towards it. And then we'll shop and we'll eventually find it and we'll get a great deal on it. And when we get a great deal on it, then it's okay if we've saved the money to then buy it. So that's the way we do it. And we're teaching them that with houses now too, because hopefully there will be that nice correction. I don't think crash, but I think correction. Bitcoin man, I sold all my properties in 2019 too. Yeah, that's hard, right?
Sorry, bud.
Yeah, sorry. I sold one, and that was actually, we sold 2, but one, it was kind of a package deal because if I was selling one, I was happy to sell the other because it was an hour and 15 minutes away. And that's why we were selling them. They were too far away. Let's see. Sam Farho, good morning. Good morning, Sam. How would you structure a seller financing offer today? Do you have any thoughts on that? Because you bought a couple of those, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, from the perspective of the person who wants to purchase the property, what you're looking for ultimately is cash flow, interest rates all made up, down payments negotiable, depends on what they want. I put 20% down on both my seller financing deals, but you got to remember they were like, one of them was a $90,000 duplex, the other one was a $35,000 house. So I mean, my 20% down was almost nothing, like 10 grand or something. But really what you're looking for is cash flow. So one of the things that you might have taken into consideration, I think it was Zuber who told me this, that he has never bought a seller financing deal from somebody who was under the age of 70. There's something about people who are getting into their later years. They want to offload their properties, but they are addicted to the passive income that real estate creates. Now, this is good because you can say, hey, I will guarantee you have no more problems with tenants. You never pay for another repair, but you'll still maintain the passive income that you've grown accustomed to. So what if I pay you a certain amount of money down, we come up with a fair interest rate, just don't even have to offer an interest rate out the gate. It's actually something Mike also talks about. Don't offer an interest rate right away. I'll pay you a certain percentage down. Let's amortize it over 30 years so I can cash flow properly. but offer to have a balloon payment due at year 10 or year 15 so that they can get all the money. Because if they're 70, are they going to live to 130 years later? Probably not. And that's one of the reasons why with my guy, he wanted 15-year mortgages. But if you can amortize it over 30 years so you cash flow better, balloon due at 15, in the next 15 years, you'll find an opportunity to refinance out of that into a better loan. If it was like a 5-year balloon or a 7-year balloon, maybe not, but 15 years, there'll be an opportunity. The other thing I would double check is make sure there's no early prepayment penalty. Sometimes the seller will actually want an early prepayment penalty. If it's like you're trying to buy it out from them after like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they want more than that. But I would make sure that you're allowed to pay it all off early at like starting at year 10 or 11 or something like that. So I know that was a lot right there, but that's how I would approach the subject and the conversation. And you're probably only going to get seller finance deals from people who desperately need to sell or from investors trying to offload their properties.
Yeah, true story. I would second that. I think, so the seller finance deals that I've done are really, they have been 50-40-10s. So it's been the bank taking the first 50 and then them giving me a note for the rest. I just talked to them about blended rate, but it gives them access to capital that they weren't going to have. If they refied their house, the most they were going to get was an 80% loan to value. Doing it this way, they actually get 10% cash, i.e. a 50-40-10, and they hold the note on 40, but then they get a monthly annuity and they get access to all of the equity that was in the house. That's how I've had that conversation, and they really love that. They're like, wait, so I get every dollar I have access to just like I was selling the house. I was like, well, because you are selling the house, but I get to still live here. Yep, we'll do a lease back for 10 years with a raise of, I think it was like CPI. I think it was CPI, or we peg it. I think we might, I don't know if we pegged it or we named it. We either pegged it or named it, but it was like 2.5%, 3.5%, something like that. So hopefully that helps on the seller financing stuff. You missed the course, REI Stoners. I missed the course. So the course is now it. So you missed nothing. You missed nothing. You did not have too many edibles. You're okay. And so, yeah, so that will be out probably the end of the year is what we're targeting. Mike saw the syllabus this morning.
It looks good.
And so I think it's pretty rock solid on the things we're going to take you to. And then there's a couple other things that we decided to add. But yeah, it's rock solid, which is basically managing from remote, how I got rich doing student housing, the 5 things that you can do to improve the rent on any property. A lot of those things that really truly speak to being a landlord. Again, still the working name. We had to upgrade it from that, which he saw. He saw the original working name. We had to change the original working name because when you use F and 3 asterisk signs, everyone knows what we're talking about. And people should still know what they're talking about because now it's still, oh shit, I'm a landlord, now what? But that's kind of what we're working towards. Dividend Dave, Millennial Mike, come to Winston-Salem next. You're on your road tour.
Yeah, the East Coast road tour.
Exactly, very nice. Let's see, Anna K, sounds great. Yeah, I think so. How to be a remote manager? I think that will help a lot of people out. Laura San Diego, I'm 2.5 hours away. Matt, I can't wait for you. How to manage my duplex from a distance. I pretty much do everything, but place it in the MLS. I have her for peace of mind. Yeah, I agree. I think that there's things that you can build out, and the way that I've structured it is the way that I've built my business out is that I can be here and do it, or I can be in Las Vegas and do it. That was the reason I built it the way that I built it, was because I was like, this is going to be an important element for me when I'm not here any longer, but I'm not going to pay a PM, tens of thousands of dollars a month to oversee what I already know how to do. I have a team in place. So I'm going to teach people how to do that. And I think it'll be really successful. And so I'm interested in people's feedback after they do it. Janelle, as fathers, I see Robert Fairnelli. Hello, Matt. Can you only drop in for a sec with a quick question? Okay, Robert, hit me with your $2 super chat. I give Robert probably $1,000 worth of insulation consulting advice, but I'm happy to do it. Nice. That's why I'm here. He was smart. He would hit me with like $2 and then ask 3 questions. That's smart. Yeah. That's efficient, which is what you said this morning. You'd like to be. It was because he's tricking me. The reason I did it was because I knew it would help a lot of other people out. So Robert was giving the sacrificial $2. Nice. All REI Stoner's great. Well, I'm waiting for your question, Robert. Great stuff on seller financing. Eddie Beams, how much more difficult is it to finance the 50%, and what kind of rates were you seeing right now? So I don't know the rates that there are right now. The deal that I did was at 7 for the first 50%, and then I got a seller note at 2. I got a seller note at 2. So my blended rate, is what is that? 7 minus 5, so 4.5. That was my blended rate. So my blended rate is sub 5, and it's fixed rate debt, 30-year fixed rate debt. It's not going anywhere. So wouldn't everybody do a deal like that? And even better, I'm only 10% in. You can do deals like that where you do pure creative financing where there's no money down. And I get that. And Cody and Christian are awesome at that. I haven't done any of those yet. I like the 50-40-10. It gives the people the flexibility that they want. I get a built-in tenant. It works pretty well. Robert Finelli, 2 tenants in a duplex claiming the other is making too much noise and the other threatening to call the cops on each other. Don't know who is lying or telling the truth, how to handle this. I have an answer.
But first, everybody should like the video because there's 70 viewers and only 31 likes. And if you're going to make Matt's channel blow up to overpass and go beyond these like negative real estate guys that are out there, like the video, and then he'll answer your question.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks, Mike. It's good to have good representation. It's good. That's what we know, not only as landlords, but also as YouTubers. So the thing that I would do is everybody wants to be the tough guy. Make them start calling the cops. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, we deal with a lot of, I won't say what department I work for because they'll get me. As a city officer, you deal with a lot of noise complaints, but it's part of the job. It's what your tax dollars are going to. So,
yep. So what I would tell you is make them make the call. Say, listen, this is not a landlord issue. This is a tenant issue. So this is you conflicting with your neighbors. If they're being loud enough where you need to call the cops, then you need to call the cops. Because I've had this issue, certainly. And I've said, okay, I'll send them a note. I'd send them a note and say, hey, we're getting complaints on the noise. Please try and keep it down. Because if you don't keep it down from my text, the next step is that you're just going to call the cops. And so at that point, if it's stuff that the police show up, guess what? They take a report. The first time they might just say, knock it off. And if I have to come back here, then we're writing this up. Right?
Yeah.
And so
it's a friendlier conversation than that. Typically you get a little bit more with honey than with vinegar.
Yeah. That's why I'm not a policeman and that I can't pass the physical part. But that's exactly what I would do. I push them and say, yep, do this. Yep. Take care of this. Yep. It's on you. And then when the cop shows up, then they'll have a nice conversation. And then sometimes I have to go back. If they go back, then I want it written up. And then they will buy the report and then they'll send it to me. And then I have proof that you have basically broken one of your lease, which is in almost every lease, there's a part that says adhere to the local laws. When you don't do that, you're breaking a noise ordinance. If it was past 10 o'clock as an example, and then I actually have grounds to terminate your lease. I can terminate you at that point. Right. So that's what exactly. That's what I would tell you to do. Eddie Beams, nice 50K at 7% with the remainder at 2%. Good stuff. Yeah. So it was 150K, 50%. It wasn't 50K, it was 50%. So the deal breakdown was $140,000 was the first mortgage. 117 or something was the note at 2%. And then I gave them 10% down because they were retirees. They then signed a 10-year lease back with a increased rate every year. And the key was I was able to take their existing mortgage payment and my rent payment is less than that mortgage payment. So it actually saved them. And then Dion reminds us, call me for fire, flood, or blood, not for noise.
And as he says, I can be your second call, but I want to call if it's for fire, flood, or blood.
That's right.
Quote.
True story. Let's see. I've seen seller financing RV parks myself, high interest rate so far as 3%. Love seller finance deals. Oh, yeah, nice. Agreed. Nicodon, there he is. North Colorado Don. Hello, Matt and Mike. Have you either looked at sober living? Converting my apartments into sober living and seeing a 50% increase over market in rents with no maintenance issues. So I've looked into them. There are some tougher rules in the towns that I'm in, which basically make it be this like sponsored entity thing, and then capping the number of tenants, and then what my responsibility is, the areas that they allow those homes, the sober living homes. So I've seen it and I haven't spent enough time to fight up against it. I don't think you've looked into that stuff at all yet. But I agree, big returns. And often funded, state funded too. REI Stoners liked and saved. Cool. Very awesome. Thank you. Janelle, just for posting as fathers. Yep. Thank you, Janelle. As fathers, what are some techniques you use to teach money management to your young children?
I use a very, very important phrase that many people have forgotten the importance of nowadays, unfortunately, with the entitled generation of millennials and Generation Z. This is a magic word, all right? It's called no. Your children say it to you all the time. Right. With my son, I grew up so poor, as I mentioned earlier, and I learned the value of a dollar, as did most of my siblings. So I decided that it must have been because there were never any dollars around. And since scarcity is what provides value, it got ingrained into me that the people who have the money make all the decisions. The people who have the money decide where we eat, what we do, if I can go to soccer camp or not. And it was always or not. So my son, Dad, I want this. No, we don't have money. Of course, I could buy him his toys and I could buy him whatever snacks he wanted, whatever candy he wants. It's not a big deal. He doesn't ask for big purchases, but I tell him no all the time. And I say, we just don't have the money for it, buddy. We don't have enough money for it. We can't go on vacation. We don't have money for it. I know you want to move to Florida, buddy. We got to save up money, to the point where this kid finds like pennies and stuff on the ground. He's like, Dad, look, I got you something so we can get that house in Florida. I was like, I need about 4 million more of those. But good job, dude. I appreciate the hustle. So yeah, tell your kids no, and read the book, The Millionaire Next Door. Have you read that book before?
No.
So it's a study on thousands of millionaires, and the psychologist and the professor that did the study, they researched what the average millionaire looks like. And the average millionaire, believe it or not, is a first generation immigrant to this country who did not inherit their money, who bought a business and bought a house, paid off their house, and runs a small business. But what's more interesting is that they then research the kids of these millionaires. And the second generation, the children of the millionaires, are almost always dependent on the parents for money because they never learned the value of a dollar. They didn't learn how to create for themselves. And then by the third generation, the grandkids, almost all money is completely squandered and gone. That's why when people talk about how institutionalized money, yeah, there's some big rich families out there, but really the top 1% is pretty much a revolving door of new people moving in. And then unfortunately, the ones who didn't have to work to earn it, don't know how to manage it, lose the money, and then they create poor people who have to work again on their own. So read that book, Millionaire Next Door. It's a good book.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of it where, first person builds it, the son grows it, and then the third one blows it up.
Right.
Because usually the first one can instill some of those qualities in their son or daughter and have them working in the company and doing all the different jobs. Like our kids go on showings with us. Sam went on a showing with me yesterday. Dad, what are we doing? We're going on a showing. I don't want to go on a showing. You're going anyway. Until you're bigger than me and you can tell me no and stand still and I can't carry you, you're going. So we went and we showed it and we walked through, and I just said, we're trying to give this nice lady a nice home to live in, and he will see it. And so he's involved in the business. He's been on, fix it calls and, early morning, I don't have heat calls. I've taken him along on a lot of that stuff. I didn't have the option. Ashley was a nurse working weekends. She worked every other weekend. I had Sam, way it goes. So he would, and that was that way until he was about 2, just the way it goes. So those are the things I think you need to obviously say no plenty often, and then say why no. That's what we talk a lot about, that stuff. So I think we're going to kind of coming close. We're going to introduce these last few questions, then kind of cut it short because we're going to be actually out in the field today. So you will see another live stream from us today, most likely, or something recorded tonight, but you'll see something. And then when we're in these sites, you guys are going to have the chance to ask questions. I'm literally taking you to a project that I think you saw the initial posts on the Instagram. If you didn't, you should be following me on Instagram. but I'm going to show you an actual project that we have going on right now that's still another 6 weeks away from being done. But we're going to walk right in and we're going to go through it. And I'm going to explain different things and show different products that we have there. And yeah, I hear it's pretty cluttered. So I'm sure a fall is in our future, one of ours. But I'm soft and fluffy. I bounce back.
Slip, trip, fall.
And Mike is really coordinated. So I think we should be good. But guys, thank you again so much for taking the time with us today, hanging out in the live stream. We're going to button it up here. And then, like I said, you'll see a live stream from us next hour or two or three. You'll see us sometime this afternoon out there in the field, actually in one of the buildings. So make sure you have notifications on because we're going to spend time in that building. And I'm just going to answer a bunch of construction questions and project questions and cost questions. That's really where my course is going to focus and spend a lot of time, is teaching people how to do renovations and how we do them. And then you glean from that what you will that will help you guys out. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week. If you can't join us then, as always, please make sure that you also subscribe. And Mike, thanks so much for coming and hanging out at the live stream. Thanks
for the invite. And thanks to your wife for letting me have a sleepover.
It's true. I mean, we're really much looking forward to it. Hopefully she doesn't like come down the stairs and be like, you guys got to stop giggling. It's probably going to happen. But we hope you guys have an awesome day and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Sweet.
Wicked awesome.
Nice.